Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. The way the King James put it. But haven't you heard it said, no man can be perfect? And then I agree, no man can be perfect. Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, which is translated to mean become God as he is God. How often I have said to somebody, do you agree with me that the basic common denominators of the whole universe is energy? And if you say yes, yes. And if I say to you, if we want to describe God as energy, would you say God is energy? If you say yes. And if I say, is man energy? You say, well, yes, man is energy. Then you would say, then man is God. Be therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Be God. Saint Germain gave us 33 discourses in the third book of the I Am. The 32nd one of those is a dictation by Jesus himself, in which he looks back over the 31 and he talks about what he experienced or what he tried to teach. I would like to share that discourse with you. For he starts out by saying, as we look upon the accomplishments of the past year from the higher octaves of light, and then come into your octave of human activity, we see and feel the great change which has taken place, even in 1 year. It is truly most encouraging, most assuring of the ultimate glow of victory, the ultimate goal of victory in the freedom of mankind from the chains and limitations of their own creation. After all, the pity is mankind does not understand that the human activity alone is the only creator of limitation and inharmony that there is. The human activity alone is the only creator of limitation and inharmony. God didn't create it. Man created it out of his own selfishness. He continues, in other words, through the ungoverned activity of the outer, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your motives, your feelings, your hot buttons that people can push, through the ungoverned activities of the outer. Personalities allow themselves to constantly re-qualify the perfect energy, the pure essence of their own mighty I am presence, producing all that is undesirable when it is within their ability to keep themselves so harmonized that the perfect intelligence and energy flowing through the human form could not and would not be requalified. Therefore, it would constantly do its perfect work, not only in perfecting the human form, causing it to express divine perfection, but it would allow the purity and perfection to flow out into the individual's world, producing the beauty, harmony, and success each heart so much craves. Everything has to do with one's thoughts, feelings, etc., etc. If you don't like where you are, look in a mirror. There's the Creator. If you don't like what's going on within yourself, look in a mirror. You have perfect energy coming from the Father through the I am presence. This is what the first 31 statements are that Saint Germain dealt with. He works with, if you take one a day and meditate on them, you will be so enriched, you will never be the same. You will be constantly moving up toward that perfection of the Father. And thus, as we begin to work with this, it reminds one of an Old Testament quote. It says something like this: He has perfect peace, whose mind is stayed in thee. He has perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. It's when we forget that high tuning into the Father's person, and we begin to deal with the junk around us, that we begin to re-qualify that perfect energy coming through your I am presence. And when we don't have it governed, we don't have the discipline, we don't have the ability to hold our thoughts, then it's all over the place and we are not happy. Then he questions, he says, why does almost everyone desire greater beauty, perfection, and abundance of every good thing? And then he answers it, because it is an inner recognition of each one's own God-given dominion, which everyone can assert at any time. He says, I assure you, beloved children of the light, that every individual can assert his dominion at any time if he only will, by his recognition and acceptance of his own mighty I am presence, for that enables this mighty invincible presence to become the mighty directing intelligence. It's discipline. It's discipline that gives you dominion over everything around you. Discipline. And so many of us don't have that discipline. We've never helped, our parents never built it into us as we grew up. And so our mind was just all over the world. It's that discipline. Some of you have expressed to us your experiences in our flame transference ritual. You've said, when I got into that tremendous temple in the etheric octaves, when I got there, it did this to me. It just opened it up. It brought back who you really are, because you started there before you fell. And it's a matter of moving back up into that perfection and not allowing yourself to move out of that perfection by disciplining your mind and feelings. He said, therefore, do you not see that to this mighty presence there is no obstruction? Therefore, no struggle, no interference of any kind. This is why the old scripture statement so long used, be still and know that I am God, can be made a dynamic power in one's life. This being still means the harmonizing, the quieting of the outer mind. And then he talks about what's going on before in these 32 concepts. He said, in the past year, we have drawn attention to the I am discourses, the many of the scriptural statements giving more explanation of their true meaning. He said, this year we hope to bring forth a full and complete explanation of all the I am statements used through the centuries, that mankind may have the evidence before their own eyes of the freedom and dominion which is within their own grasp. Now, I don't know about you folks. I don't know how many of you are participating in our different rituals, but Nancy and I have expressed to each other several times, you know, there's something different in our lives. There is more balance and more feelings of we're on top of things. We are moving, feeling ourselves moving upward and into that higher and higher frequency. And this is what he's talking about. If you could just take the 32 and take one a day, read it first thing in the morning when you get up, and then meditate on it at your work and so on, wherever you are during the day, and using the statements and so on, you will find your whole being begin to move up into a higher discipline and higher harmonizing, so on. He said, we rejoice and give thanks that this year will release such abundant financial support for this work that boundless light and blessings will be brought to mankind. In all past golden ages, when the great light of the higher octaves descended into the earth, enfolding and dissolving the human creation about individuals, they were so enabled to reach into higher octaves through the inner sight, hearing, and feeling that they knew firsthand the true reality, and that the outer form was but the garment of this all-wise supreme intelligence, which the mighty I Am presence used to find expression in the denser octave into which the human had drawn itself. And so I suggest you participate also in the flame transference ritual. Because what it does, it brings you up into that higher frequency, and you have the chance of losing yourself in this higher beingness, this beauty, this harmonizing place. He said, can you, O beloved students of the light, even for a few moments, realize what joy this brings to the hearts of the hosts of the ascended masters who have freed themselves through self-conscious effort from these same human limitations which you are now experiencing. As these beloved messengers have come to know with full assurance that freedom, so all mankind will one day understand that everyone can make the necessary self-conscious effort in the recognition and acceptance of this mighty I am presence and have the same freedom. He said, do not let any one of the beloved students make such a mistake as to think that the mighty I am presence is going to act independently of the individual's own self-conscious effort. In other words, it's not duality. This mighty I am presence isn't something that belongs out there someplace. You are the I am presence. It's the real part of you. So don't separate it. You can't. This never is and cannot be done. It is true that after the student has reached a certain point of attainment, the law seems to begin to act almost automatically. In other words, when you move into this higher discipline area, it almost takes on a life of its own. You won't say certain things. You won't go certain places. You won't participate in certain things automatically. You don't have to make a decision because you have the momentum already. He said, but this is only because a charged momentum has been built and established about the individual. Let me make clear to you now that never until you have made the ascension do you cease to make conscious application for your own freedom. You never stop doing the violet flame decrees. You never stop being conscious of your sins, if you want to call it that, those things which you should not be doing. You never stop refining until you reach your ascension, and then you are free because you will automatically do everything as the Father in heaven does. He said, today I'm going over some of these simple yet all-powerful acknowledgments of the truth, because I wish every student under this radiation to have a copy of this. And by the way, if any of you would like to have a copy of these, the I am, discourses. I've lost the word here. If any of you would like to have all 33 of them, we'd be most happy to send an electronic copy to you so that you can study it and actually become what we're talking about here. So he's going to go over some of these, he says, because I wish every student under this radiation to have a copy of this so that each one may read it once a day. For to those who will do this earnestly and conscientiously, I, Jesus, will give forth my own individual radiation to bless them and assist them to their freedom. So you have been asked throughout the past year to charge your mind, body, home, world, and activity with the perfection of the mighty I am, perfection of the mighty I am presence. Now, With your permission, I shall assist you and also charge your being and world with his mighty perfection and abundance. And he's going to go through some of the things. But I want to say first, how do you do this? Again, discipline. Again, moving your thoughts into the higher divine manifestation. Think in terms of thanking the Father many times a day, many times working with Spirit, working with your angels, talking with them, being in that higher frequency, not allowing anybody to push your buttons, not allowing the concerns of the news. This is a challenge to all of us, including myself, to see what happens and what is supposed to be happening and with what is not happening. And one can hardly say, Father, how long do we have to put up with this silly stuff, children's stuff? And as we begin to work in raising our consciousness, not allowing that to then take full reign of our lives, but rather being above it in terms of working with the Father. He said, I am offering this assistance to you, beloved students. Let no one be so foolish as to doubt, for I am the Jesus, the Christ of Galilee, that you have known for the past 2,000 years, who is dictating this discourse and offering this assistance to you. Again, he said, let me assure you that this work of Saint Germain and myself, and I think this is a thing we need to understand, this isn't just Saint Germain's work. Jesus says it here himself. It's part of his work. So if you're a Jesus person, as I am, the moment I saw that, I thought, oh, that gives me opportunity to really believe within myself that this is as important as what Jesus taught. Yes, because it's the same. He said, again, let me assure you that this work of Saint Germain and myself is entirely different from anything that has been given forth to the Western world, because in this work there are no human concepts nor opinions. It has not been possible to do this heretofore until visible light and sound rays could be established through which knowledge and instruction could be given. Very interesting. If you, beloved ones, as students, can realize this, how great will be your blessing and benefit. The protection which has been given America and certain other parts of the world during the past few months has transcended anything I have ever known in my experience. Now, this was given back in the 30s, 1930s somewhere. At that point, this protection, which has been given America and certain other parts of the world during the past few months, has transcended anything I have ever known in my experience. And his experiences goes back to the beginning. Oh, if humanity could but realize this, how gladly and willingly would they cooperate to their utmost to sustain it. So its all-powerful activity might ever increase. We can but call your attention to the truth, the reality as we know it to be. When you can fully accept this truth and apply it in your own world and activity, you will have all the proof required in your own experience to enable you to know the full power of the truth of which I have spoken. You know, it is true. The greatest power you have and the greatest authority you have is what you have experienced in your own life. That you can say, this is true, because I know it. He said, to all who can accept this truth, it will enable me to charge their consciousness and fill their worlds and activity with this truth. They who doubt must wait, for doubt and fear are the two doors through which every human being must pass to know and to have his full and complete freedom. The key that unlocks these doors is divine love in each one's acknowledgement of his own mighty I am presence as the fullness of the power of divine love acting. You must begin to see your divine self, your divine your divine being is the manifestation of the Father himself. If we can begin to grasp this, we are not apart from, we are one in. And this, as we begin to, in every day, express it from that point of reference. Don't allow yourself to be angry. Don't allow yourself to get involved with the lower ends of this thing. He said, the door to the seventh octave of light stands open to every one of the beloved students under this radiation who will make sincere, earnest, self-conscious application. In other words, you practice it on purpose till you become it. He said, this, my beloved brothers and sisters, means your freedom. Can you, will you grasp this with the full power of your I am consciousness and be free? He says, as I am dictating these words to the messengers through amplifiers which your outer world has not yet known. Have you ever thought, okay, here was Jesus, he's up on the hill. Here are 5,000 to 10,000 people there listening to him. Do you think they could hear him? Can he talk loud enough for that to happen? Well, he just gave us a cue on how this works. He says, I am dictating these words to the messengers through amplifiers, which your outer world has not yet known. Thus, as he spoke, they could hear it. Every one of them could hear it. He said these words, I am dictating these words to the messengers through amplifiers, which your outer world has not yet known. These words and this radiation are going forth into the mental and feeling world of humanity, which will immediately start into operation. And as the students and individuals contact these words from time to time through that inner inside, he said, they will find an immediate response, which will enable them to feel the truth and the reality of which I speak. How does this work? The moment you say a word, it goes forth from you as a word, as a concept, as an energy pattern. I've shared this many times before. bear with me. But when I was a child, we used to love to wait till Dad bring the Sunday funnies home. That's what we were interested in. And we'd all flip down on the floor, us kids, and we'd read the funnies. But there was one that never has left my consciousness. It was from Gasoline Alley. Many of you may have remembered that strip. And here was Alex. I even remember his name. He said something out in the backyard, and it formed words above him. It was against the neighbors who were sitting in their yard. And it went out and over the neighbors, and they were reading it, and he was jumping over the fence trying to catch it, but it had already gone out. Everything you say is gone out there. It's still there. In fact, I have read some scientists believe that they can yet sometime they will be able to reach back and actually actually record, that's what I'm trying to say, actually record Jesus's words that are still in the atmosphere. And when we have a lot of people going rah, 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 it goes out. When we have a lot of people hating all of this negativity, everybody in the country feels it. I remember being on staff when the fire was coming down the hill, and Mother had us all get along the street below the hill, and we did the decrees to turn it back, and it went back up the hill. When a country says many words against another country, the other country needs to do the opposite, bringing that word back again, because in the atmosphere around, this is where things are happening. And we begin to understand from what he's saying here. He says he can put this out there. And any of us then who happens to be in that frame of reference or vibration will pick up those words, and we will begin to respond to those words within ourselves. This is very, very important. He said, all the humanity who through church service after church service are acknowledging my ascension, oh, why can they not feel the true reality and know that in my ascension, eternal light body, I can and do reach out, reach all who will open their hearts to my reception. O children of the earth, learn to couple your feeling with the truth, with the acknowledgement of that truth that you wish to have manifest in your life. Then you will be enabled to go forth to any height of achievement in your quest for freedom. And then he starts to go through some of these I am statements. He says, I am the open doorway which no man can shut. If you repeat that all day, be surprised what happens. Your mighty I am presence is the truth, the way, and the life. Your mighty I am presence is the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. Your mighty I am presence is your directing intelligence, your exhaustless sustaining energy. Your mighty I Am presence is the voice of truth speaking within your heart. The light enfolding you in its luminous presence. Your eternal belt of protection through which no human creation can pass. Your eternal reservoir of exhaustless energy which you can release at will through your conscious charging. Your mighty I Am presence is the fountain of eternal youth and beauty, which you can call into action and expression in your human form today. Your mighty I Am presence is your resurrection and the life of your body and of your world of action into that perfection which the heart of every human being so much desires. You can use it anyway. You have a child, you can bless the child by putting your hands on it. The exhaustless energy. I have seen mother work unbelievable, working with a sword for almost an hour. I worked with a sword. It was a few minutes and my arm was about to give in. But this exhaustless energy that she portrayed to everybody is this that you have and I have. He said, listen, O beloved students of light. When you are uttering these decrees for yourselves, and I am uttering them for you, do you not see that we are doing it for all the rest of mankind as well as ourselves? That when you issue a decree of and through the I Am, you are issuing that for everyone else as well as yourselves. This is how the application and expression of the I Am becomes all powerful, exhaustless in its activity, and forever acts beyond the realm of human selfishness. Why? Because you are asking for every one of God's children the same perfection which you are calling into action for yourself. This is not possible except in the use of the I Am statements and application. For acting within the I Am presence takes you instantly out of the activity wherein there is human selfishness. This is why the earnest, sincere student who will cast out all doubt and fear will find himself or herself acting within a sphere of positive, definite activity which knows no delay or lack of accomplishment in anything. The moment you say it, it's there, it's working. Then, O beloved ones, do you not see how you are then acting in a world of infallibility, wherein your decrees enable the full power of the I Am to move into action, causing all human inharmony and limitation to move out? He said, I now voice the decree that the host of ascended masters and students issued last night at the Royal Teton. The Royal Teton retreat is the retreat in the Teton Mountains in Wyoming, and it's a retreat in the mountain that many of the ascended hosts come. And and they had a meeting, and they said this decree together. And he said it was such a powerful thing that went out. This is what you've already said 9 times. This I am going to suggest that you take up the session, the decree, and let's say it together 3 more times, okay? It goes like this. Such freedom, health, prosperity, and harmonious action shall come forth for America and the world as have never before been experienced on earth. Such freedom, health, prosperity, and harmonious action shall come forth from America and the world as have never before been experienced on earth. Has such freedom, health, prosperity, and harmonious action shall come forth for America and the world as have never been experienced on earth. The students who will join us in this decree will render a service which will bless them throughout the ages. Only because America is the cup, the Holy Grail, do we often speak of America first. All should know without question that what blesses America blesses the world. An activity, a radiance such as has not been known since the height of the last golden age on Atlantis was sent forth from the conclave at the Royal Teton, the description of which Saint Germain will give you later. The fullness of my love, light, and blessing I leave with yourselves, all the students and all mankind, that the light within each heart may be so quickened that you and they will no longer know limitation of any kind, and the light becomes so powerful that its very radiance consumes all human creation accumulated through the past or present setting, all forever free. And then he closes it. My love enfolds all forever, Jesus the Christ. My Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let each one of us rekindle or rededicate or invoke the highest sense of commitment to this our Master and Lord. Let each one of us again say to him, yes, I am you in manifestation. Oh, beloved Jesus, lay thy hand upon each one of us as students, for we will go all the way to fulfilling your life here upon this planet. For we would bring this planet home because we love her as we love our Father.